Ryan Champion is a gentleman that I met in one of our networking groups. You guys saw one of the networkings we do at noon, which seems like a long time ago. I mean, like, it almost seems like it was at least 10 hours ago. Which actually, in hindsight, that really wasn't that long ago. But I am very, very proud to bring you a really good guy. And the thing that I'm going to say about Ryan before I bring him on, and I put this on his review, and I absolutely meant it. I've seen people who get excited about how they work, about their work. I've seen people who enjoy their work. Ryan enjoys getting people into homes. He really enjoys getting people into homes. It's one of the things he's excited about, a new venture he's starting, and he's really wanting to get you into your new home. And I'm proud to introduce you to my friend, Ryan, the mortgage guy champion. How you doing, brother?
I am doing good. It's been a long day for me, but I imagine not nearly as long as yours. So I fell asleep in my chair not too long ago, and I woke up and was like, oh my goodness, I got to be on in 20 minutes here. I better get my stuff together. So,
it's actually kind of funny. My wife went on for the last 2 hours because they do a paranormal show, and the Paranormal Network lets me piggyback on their show or their programming all day long. They shut down their stuff and they simulcast with us, so we can grab a hold of a larger audience and really discuss what we're trying to talk about. And so the owner of the network and my wife, who's kind of the co-leader, and Nick, who's another one of the co-leaders of the network, they all did a show for a couple hours and talking to Jeremy's dad, who is an honor flight recipient, which they tried to tie. They did a great job of tying everything into the subject matter and did that. And so the plan was, I was going to go catch a Z or two. I was going to go do it. Didn't happen. I got out there and I'm like, it's kind of funny, Ryan, as I get back in here and sit down and I'm like,
well, don't fall asleep on me, Zach.
Well, if I'm starting to talk and then all of a sudden it gets really deadly quiet.
Yeah, well, I'll try to do my best. This is probably not my forte.
Well, one of the we were discussing this, Ryan. Hey, Terry, thank you for coming back again. Terry, I want to tell you personally, you joined me at 4:20 this morning, Eastern time. So, that's I'm sorry, Central time, which means that was 3:20 my time right here. It's 10:30. You put in one hell of a shift. Thank you so much for tagging everybody you did and doing all the hard work you've done. Thank you. And if anybody else wins that trip, I'm going to tell you, God, I almost hate saying this, but that means the election was rigged because you have tagged more damn people than I've got on Facebook. So, Ryan, you are a mortgage. And what is it? A mortgage broker, or are you
a mortgage broker? So there's different ways you can get a loan. There's a retail side, which is your typical bank will be a retail lender. There's also some other retail lenders. And depending upon how they work, they may have a fairly limited number of products they can offer. Most of them are going to offer a VA loan, which we're talking about a little bit tonight. But they might not have a construction loan for VA. They might not be able to offer some other products for self-employed borrowers, some different things that as a mortgage broker, I work with multiple lenders. Right now, I've got about 20. We add and take away of those as we need different products that we can offer a much broader range of loans than most people. So that means that, like one that I'm telling people about right now is the ability for getting loans on a short-term rental property. You're buying an Airbnb. You want to make an investment. And there's a different way you can look at how much money you can earn and how much that qualifies you for. Well, a lot of lenders won't consider short-term rental income. They'll only consider it if you got a year-long lease. So, but I've got a lender that will consider short-term income for an investor to help them get a loan on a home that they want to Vrbo or Airbnb. So I've just got all these different products, which I love because, as you said, I'm starting this business. I've been in this business for 2 years now. I spent 25 years as an engineer managing projects. And as an engineer, you get to solve problems every day. And I was thankful I never worked for like a big airplane company or something like that, because I would have got stuck on left-wing aerodynamics or something and been very specialized. And what I did managing projects is I got to do different things every day. And I always got to learn something new. So for me, it scratches an itch to have a lot of different things and ways to solve a problem for a borrower. And so I tell my referral partners, I did a presentation today specifically talking about niche products to a real estate office. And I told them at the end, it's like, send me your problem borrower. When nobody else has been able to get them a loan, or you need, they don't fit any programs you got, send them to me. I'm going to try and get them through. My favorite story loan from the last year had a mom and a daughter, and they were living in an RV, and they were facing another winter in Colorado, and they didn't want to do it. The space was too small. It was going to be cold. And they came to me through a realtor partner, and they'd already been to 3 different lenders and been rejected every time. They just couldn't get it through. So they said, give Ryan a try. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. Didn't have much hope for him, but we looked at their credit. It was too low. Their credit score was too low. We got their credit score up. It was a difficult loan. The realtor and I, it was a lot of emotional drain, because we knew if we didn't get them the home, they were selling their RV, they could end up homeless. It was just a lot of emotion in it, but we got it through, and it was a tough loan. It wasn't a very big loan. I didn't make a lot of money on it, but the joy on their faces when they signed their papers was all worth it. It was completely worth it. There's a mom and a daughter. The mom came up and gave me this hug and just latched onto me. And I was like, I didn't know what to do almost. I was like, what in the world's going on here? Because I'm not that emotional, but I changed their lives by just being able to work hard to get them into a house. And I'm going to remember that loan over one that was big and I made a lot of money on. I'm like, I forget those because they're just standard. I'd much rather do a loan that had more meaning in it to get someone into a house. So
I think that is one reason why I get so excited about what we do is, having that satisfaction, knowing that what you've done has literally changed someone's outlook, if not their lives. And we do it by doing what we do every day. So it's not like we're going out of our way and trying to reinvent a wheel. We're doing what we do every day. This is important to us because, why, Ryan, would we be in business where everyone struggles? If nobody can afford a house, this would be a terrible place for you to be in business, right? I mean,
correct.
So let's make sure that we are standing up for the people who have, these problems, helping them get through those problems and turning those problems into successes. So what are some of the things that the first-time buyer always forgets or always falls short on that you need people to understand? If you're buying your first house, remember to get this done.
Well, most people will go online and to a simple calculator. What do I qualify for? And those are okay. I mean, they give you some general ideas, but you really need to, in my opinion, when you're buying a house, put your team together. And your team is your mortgage person, whether it's a mortgage broker like me or a mortgage banker. You need to have someone you trust. Not everybody has the same programs and not everybody has the same rates. So I'm a bit selfish, like talk to me first before you talk to a real estate agent, before you go looking. And then I want to get my borrower fully pre-approved. That means they've given me all the information required, give me all the documents so that I have a really strong case to say, yes, you're going to qualify for this and get approved for this, and we're going to get you a loan. So that when they go out looking, they're looking realistic. They know what their payment's going to be. And so, especially as a first-time home buyer, they don't understand that, well, I have to pay taxes on the house, I have to pay insurance on the house. There might be an HOA, so that they get a complete picture. And a mortgage professional can help you do that. The other part of your team needs to be your real estate agent. And don't just hire your cousin or your aunt or somebody. You want a professional real estate agent. So someone that does it full time. You don't want someone that's doing it part time. And the reason I say that is there's things that I see real estate agents write into the contracts on loans on the purchase, and then we have to go fix it later because it doesn't work for your financing. I see people use a realtor from out of an area. So like in my area, there's lots of water rights and things you need to know about. And you get a realtor from out of the area and they don't have that local knowledge you need. And then you get in trouble because there's some unique things in different counties and different cities that the professional realtor, they just know this stuff because they deal with it every day. And the part-time, do it every once in a while, out of the area realtor doesn't know those things. So you want to create your team with people you know, like, and trust and can communicate with, and that will explain the process to you. So it's going to make a big difference, I think, for a first-time home buyer, especially in that.
Where does somebody like a home inspector, where does that come in? Are they part of your team as well?
No, that'll be someone that the realtor will help find you once you get the house under contract. So as part of buying a house, you get an accepted contract between the buyer and the seller. And in Colorado, which is the one I'm going to speak to because what I know the best, there's this table of dates, and it has all these things, that information that has to be provided and reviewed, inspections that can happen and be reviewed. And it gives certain timelines where you can pull out of the contract without losing your earnest money. So when you buy a house, you put down some earnest money. It might be $1,000, it might be $5,000 to say you're serious about buying the house. And then if you violate your contract, the seller can keep that earnest money. Colorado's real estate contract is very friendly to the buyer and provides lots of outs for that. So if there's an inspection that doesn't work out, if the title work comes back and there's some sort of problem on the title, if the appraisal doesn't come back, if you're getting a loan, you're applying for a loan, and for some reason the terms of the loan aren't what you expected it to be, you can pull out. There's lots of ways to get out if you've worked to get those dates correct, and you have a realtor and a mortgage professional that are helping you meet those deadlines and advising you on it. So you're protected. So the inspection happens after the contract is done. The realtor, the professional one, knows who the good inspectors are in town that do a good job of looking at the houses. And they'll give you a few names that you can select from to choose who you want to inspect your home to see if there's any issues with it, especially older homes.
Yeah. You just mentioned that if your rates weren't good enough, that's one of the reasons why they should talk to you first, right? I mean, or is it a buy house? The rates depend on the house that you're getting, or if you get a loan, and your down payment is here. Your payment's going to be here no matter what house is it is.
It's going to be, your rate's going to be based on you as a borrower,
Right.
not on the house. So lenders don't look at how old you are. They don't look at what sex you are. They don't look at what race you are. Those are all protected classes, plus a few more. They look at your credit worthiness, your credit score. So there's a system where they look at how much debt you've had, how much debt you've paid back, and then you give a score on it. It's all proprietary. Your Credit Karma score is not the score. The score you look up on your credit card is not the score. It gives us an indication where it's at. But unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of different algorithms for determining scores. And the mortgage ones you don't get on those apps. We have to actually pull your credit. So you want a higher credit score. A higher credit score gives you generally a better rate. Now, on a VA loan, which we're going to be talking about, they have some very generous pricing, even if you have a low credit score. It's an amazing program for someone that doesn't have as good of a credit score. So, and you don't pay extra for it. But if you're not a veteran, which I'm not, so I can't take advantage of that program, my credit score matters a lot. Especially if you're not a first-time home buyer. First-time home buyers get some credits that they can have a lower credit score and still get a low rate. So that's one of it. The second thing that's going to not determine your rate, but can determine how much mortgage insurance you pay. So let's say you put 5% down on a conventional loan, then that means the lender you're more at risk of defaulting because you don't have a lot of skin in the game yet. The lender is more at risk of losing their money if they have to repo the house, foreclose on it, and repossess the house and sell it. They can lose money on it. So all those buyers that don't have a lot of money down, they all put into a mortgage insurance pool. And people say, oh, I hate that mortgage insurance. We shouldn't have to pay that. Well, you used to have 20% down to buy a house, and getting 20% down saved is tough. And with house prices going up, it's like, can you outsave the house prices going up? And it's tough to do. So mortgage insurance actually allows you to get into the house with less money down and to buy that house versus getting to that 20% down payment. So it's a cost, but it allows borrowers to get into a house sooner, which is great. The VA loan, if you're a veteran, served in the National Guard, you've served in the reserves, things like that. That one, the US government, because of your service to the country, they guarantee the loan. And because they guarantee the loan, there is no mortgage insurance. And not only that is you don't have to have a down payment. You can finance 100% of the loan. So if you've served, if you've sacrificed for our country, take advantage of that program. It is a huge benefit for you that you need to use when you're buying a house. So
did they also get breaks on like credit score, or is there
so like you're gonna so as you go lower credit score, you will pay a higher interest rate. And as you go lower credit score, if you have less money down, you pay more mortgage insurance. With the VA, you can have a lower credit score and you're not paying a higher interest rate, and you're not paying additional mortgage insurance because the government is covering you. The government's got your back there.
Well, I've known a couple vets that I'm wondering if maybe they got into the wrong loan, and maybe I could talk to them and find out, because I know one that's paying an outrageous amount for his home, and it was supposed to be a VA loan, but it really is. It's outrageous. So I think.
Well, I mean, interest rates are high right now. So.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he's been in this home now, I'd say 13 years.
Okay. Well, 13 years ago, the interest rates were quite a bit higher as well.
Okay. Yep.
So
yep.
Trying to remember what they would have been 13 years ago.
So
we could look it up.
Yeah. What with everything being like it is right now,
mm-hmm.
is this a good great, or stay away from buying right now? Where are we at?
Okay. I can't predict the future. I wish I could. I wish my crystal ball wasn't black and had 3 holes in it and was good for knocking down some white pins. I wish it wasn't that, but that's what it is. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. Interest rates are high right now. Like we're quoting around 7% right now. Well, when we came off of 2 and 3% loan rate interest rates a few years ago, 7% seems like it's incredibly high. But the average interest rate, if you look back over time, is about 6%. So it's a little bit high right now, but it's really in a normal range. The tough part is affordability, in the fact that house prices are high compared to average incomes, and interest rates are where they're at. So houses are relatively unaffordable right now. So you would think an unaffordable house, people can't afford to buy, that house prices would come down. And if you guys like to, if people like to watch YouTube, there's what I call the doom porn people out there, and they will always have another reason why house prices are going to crash. At first, years ago, was the silver tsunami. Baby boomers were going to retire and they're all going to sell their houses and house prices were going to crash. Well, that's been going on for quite a while right now. Baby boomers have been retiring. There's been no silver tsunami. In fact, what the baby boomers are doing is they're buying second homes. So they're living in Colorado and buying a house in Arizona that they can go spend the winter in. And even when they sell a home, they buy a different home. They might just downsize, or they move to be closer to the grandkids or whatever happens to be. So that didn't happen. And then recently we came out of a COVID, and you saw headlines that foreclosures have increased 71% year over year. You think, holy moly, we're going into foreclosures. Well, the thing of it is, they were comparing against COVID when the government said you can't foreclose on someone. So that 71% year over year increase was still a lower foreclosure number than before the pandemic, like in 2019. So people love to grab this little bit of data, a little bit of something, and they love to scream that home prices are going to crash. There was a recent one that Airbnbs and Verbos, the investors, were all losing their shorts. It was bad data. They were throwing stuff up on YouTube. House prices are going to crash. So do I know what the house prices are going to be in the future? No, but I can tell you what's happening right now is generally every month we're setting a new record high in home prices in the United States. Now, your local market may be different, so you got to look at your local market, but house prices haven't crashed, and I don't see them crashing. And the reason is because people keep having sex, having babies, moving out of their parents' household. They want their own house. Households are forming. There's a demand for houses. Politically, however you view the southern border and people coming into the country, we have more people that need places to live. There is more demand for houses than we've been building houses. And so we're at a deficit right now of how many homes we have, and we're not building fast enough to keep up. So it's a supply and demand issue for me. And there's plenty of demand, plenty of people that can still afford a home to buy it. So we're not seeing house prices fall. We're actually seeing them go up. So that comes back to your question. Is it a great time to buy? I believe if you have a stable income, you're planning on staying someplace for at least 3 years, and you can afford a home, that it's going to be a long-term wealth building tool for you to purchase a home. Because homes appreciate on average about 4% a year. Depends on your locality, but 4% a year. So let's say, like here, standard 3-bedroom, 2-bath, where I'm at in Durango, Colorado, is $500,000 outside the city in the bedroom communities. So you're paying $500,000. You multiply that times 4% in a year on average. You gain equity at $20,000 a year. If it's $600,000 house times 4%, that's $24,000 a year. That's $2,000 a month on average that you're gaining in equity.
Wow.
So, and you might have only had to put 5% down or 0% down with a VA loan to be tapping into that market. So I think if I didn't own a home already, I would be trying to buy one right now if I could afford
What we've got the election coming up, and isn't there like usually a dip right before the elections, where the powers that be try to get everything in order and hey, you know what, let me sweetheart this deal for you. Doesn't that happen quite often? I know it probably can't happen all the time.
There may be a little bit of that, but in politicians are certainly going to try to juice the economy if they're in power to help them stay in power. They're limited in their ability to do that. And so the thing that I see during election years is people get concerned because they don't know what's going to happen. Businesses stop spending as much money. They stop hiring as many people. They don't invest in new capital. And then someone gets elected, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican that gets elected. It just matters that someone got elected and there was a peaceful transfer of power. And that question in people's minds goes away. Now they know what they're dealing with for the next 4 years. So it's really a question of the unknown makes people nervous rather than it's one party or the other. And then things go back to normal. The Federal Reserve, which you see talked about in the news if you pay attention, and raising interest rates, lowering interest rates, those type of things. Those are all short-term interest rates. And mortgages are based on long-term interest rates. So they most closely track the 10-year Treasury bill, which is a government-issued, U.S. Treasury-issued bond that people can buy. And that's how the government funds itself with these bills. So watch the 10-year T-bill if you want to see where rates are going up or down.
Okay.
And
I
that's not even exact. And that T-bill is not based upon so much what the Federal Reserve is doing with short-term interest rates. It's what an investor is willing to pay for that when they buy it. How much interest do they want? And that's based on long-term inflation projection.
Wow.
That's a lot of technical gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And you're into this 20 hours, and your eyes.
Oh no. I'm actually really enjoying this because and this is a question that there is a lot of confusion out there. And we're talking about the election, and I think this is something that might help people understand something a little bit more. Ryan, explain to us the difference between inflation and economy.
Okay. So inflation is merely a comparison of how much you used to have to pay for a product versus how much you have to pay for it now. That might be milk at the grocery store. It might be gas for your car. A measure of inflation is also commodity goods that you might be buying, clothing, supplies for an industrial plant, glues, supplies, raw materials, and rent, cost of housing is a big part of inflation. And there's a whole bunch of different inflation numbers, and you'll hear CPI, PCE, PPI. Don't worry too much about it. It's just inflation is how much you had to pay for something this year as compared to last year. So currently, core PCE, which is the Federal Reserve's favorite one, is running in the 3s right now, year over year. But if you looked at the last 3 or 6 months, it's in the 2s, maybe even in the 1s if you annualized it. So inflation's come down. It was at 7-8%. The problem is for inflation is that it was running high for a couple of years. And so I haven't looked at this number, but I think it was 17% up in like the last 2 or 3 years. So that means your grocery bill's a lot higher. Your rent's a lot higher. I feel it when I go to the store. I feel it when I'm buying things. When I buy something off of Amazon or Walmart or whatever, you see it. And that's put the hurt to a lot of people. The economy, so inflation number is down right now, right? And people are like, it's great, the inflation's down. Well, that just means that prices aren't going up as fast anymore. They're still up. They're not going down. They're not deflating. So we're still feeling pain. So the government wants to say everything's great. You should feel great because inflation's down. But in your pocketbook, you still know you're paying almost 20% more than you were a couple of years ago.
Right.
And that's tough on people. So that's inflation. Now, then there's the economy. And the economy is how much gross domestic product is, how many goods and services are being produced and purchased every year. And you'll hear a recession is 2 quarters of negative GDP. So I don't know what the gross domestic product of the United States is off the top of my head, but let's just say for argument's sake, it's $1 trillion. It's way more than that, but it's $1 trillion. So if it was $1 trillion last year and this following year, it's $1 trillion and 2 million, it's gone up by 0.2% year over year. So is that number getting bigger every year? Or is it getting smaller? So if it's getting smaller, that's a recession. And right now we're still growing. We're not growing as fast as we were. We during COVID, we shrunk. And then as we came out of it, we grew pretty fast. So for a while, and that's moderating now. And part of that they look at for the economy is number of jobs. Are we adding jobs or are we losing jobs? And right now we're still adding jobs, slower than we were coming out of COVID, but we're still adding jobs. So our economy is still growing. People have been projecting a recession for the last 2 years. And there's something called the yield curve, which is comparing the short-term interest rate to the long-term interest rate, and it gets inverted. And there's a kind of a joke that predicts recessions when that goes inverted, except for the yield curve has accurately predicted 9 out of the last 6 recessions. It predicts it 9 times, but it only happens 6 times. So it's not a guaranteed thing. But people have been predicting a recession for a couple of years now, and it's just not happening. We're still adding too many jobs, and we're not losing enough jobs yet.
Yeah, and I wonder about this theory. During one of the more recent elections, we voted in a minimum wage hike.
Yep.
That's going to have an effect on inflation.
It will.
These businesses are not going to take a cut to pay a kid more money to work at McDonald's.
Correct.
Things are going to cost more. Things start costing more. Fuel's going to cost more. Our ships are being blown up in the sea right now. That's going to make fuel go up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the things that we've talked a lot about. The differences in the United States. Left, right, red, blue, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that there's a lot of things that are going into this, and it's not just one person who does it. It's
correct.
Many people who have something to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
And for thinking that it's only one person or even one political side that's creating all the havoc that we have, that's
mm-hmm.
just, it's weak-minded.
For me, I don't care what your politics are. I want to help to get you in a house.
Yep.
Disagree on it all day long, but that doesn't matter. For my clients, they're my clients, and I want to help them.
Well, brother, I know that you're going to be signing up to join the team here pretty soon. You're going to be joining the family in a giving partner sense, and I'm excited about that. And I think that you and I are going to be working together because you want to get them into the house. You know what? I want to get them into the house because I want to get them off the street. And I think that if we get someone off the street or into a new house, we can possibly get 2 people into new houses, because there will be enough money that can maybe help get someone else off the street. So
okay, yeah,
there's a lot of things that, look, we got to shoot for the sky, right?
Yeah. So, you and anybody. So if you're looking at a house, reach out to a mortgage broker. If you got bad credit, it doesn't work. Like for me, find the mortgage broker, the mortgage lender that's going to help you, guide you to get your credit, to help you make a plan. I'm okay with talking to someone, helping them make a plan and getting them into a house 2 or 3 years later and talking to them and just checking in with them and say, how you doing? I love it when a potential client says, hey, my credit score went up 20 points. Like,
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome. Let's keep working at it. Keep doing the right things and encouraging them until they get there.
I want to thank you very much for staying up as late as you did. I know it's a work day for some of you guys. I may not be able to talk tomorrow. Which is a blessing for most. For me, it's going to be a little odd. But Ryan, it's really great to get you involved in this program. I hope to see you next year with us, and I look forward to working with you to make dreams happen for people in Colorado.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Any
very
last
much.
questions before I sign off?
Yes, please.
No, any last questions for me?
Oh, no. I don't. I'm all good. So, something that may interest you. Terry Wilson just who's been working her butt off to get those last 300 shares and 300 what are they called? The tags.
Uh-huh.
She just sent me a picture with 246. That means we have eclipsed the 300, which means we get to give away 2 trips to Cancun, not just one.
Sweet.
So this is awesome. We're going to give away 2 trips to Cancun. I'm excited about this. So, but I'm glad that you were here when she showed us this. That's exciting. That's really exciting. So, but Ryan, thank you very much for staying up with us. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Have a great night. But, let's get out there and let's help as many people as we can, huh?
Totally. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, so did I. I really did. So thank you, Ryan. Have a good night. Go hit that chair again. And this time you can
I'm hitting the bed.
I've heard of one of those. I don't know what it is, but I've heard of one of those. So
yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Catch you later.
Ryan Champion,